Okay, kindergarten friends, today we are going to do an activity inspired by the artist Claude Monet, and this is his self-portrait, which is a painting that he did of himself, and he's wearing this hat called a beret. And this hat was invented in France, and Claude Monet is actually from the country of France, and he was born in the 1800s, more than 100 years ago. And if you looked on your Seesaw page, I have posted some stories and other art activities inspired by his artwork. And the one paintings or grouping of paintings that he's most famous for are water lilies. So some of you already did the pop-out flower lily activity on Seesaw. That was inspired by Monet's paintings of water lilies. Today we are going to focus on his painting that he did of his backyard garden. And here's this beautiful painting he did. He was one of the first artists at this time to go outside, bring all of his art materials and paint what he saw outside because he loved nature so much. And this was in his backyard. And you see there's this beautiful footbridge that goes over his pond. And it's filled, looks like, with hundreds and hundreds of water lilies. And you could still visit his garden today. You can visit his house and garden in France. It's open, it's like a museum. And you could see the actual footbridge. So here's a photograph of the footbridge that he painted in France. And again, it looks just like his painting. And you could visit here someday and take a walk through his gardens and see all the beautiful nature that he painted. So we are going to get started with our own bridge activity inspired by Claude Monet, actually bridge and pond activity. So what you need to get started is a white sheet of paper, okay? And I want you to have it the side to side or the hot dog way. The next step is to fold your paper in half. So it almost looks like a picture book, just like this. We're going to keep it closed, and I want you to keep the fold to the left side. So if you make a letter L with your hands, you know that is your left side. That's where the fold is. We are going to draw a bridge shape starting on the left hand side, the side that has the fold, not the side that has the opening. Okay, the folded end. I want you to start a little bit from the top and do a straight line across, not all the way to the across, just almost across. And actually, I'm going to go over it with a marker so you can see it a little bit better. Okay? Then from there, you're going to do a straight line down just a little bit. Okay? And then you're going to take your scissors, you're going to keep your paper close together, and you're going to cut across and down right on that line. So I'm going across, and I'm turning my scissors, and I'm cutting down. Okay? Just like that. And you're going to open it up and lie it flat, and you should have like a little opening now here. So what you're going to do is take that opening and fold it down, and that is going to be your pop-out footbridge. Okay? All right. So I want to start designing my footbridge to look like the same one that Monet painted in his backyard garden. And I believe the color of that bridge, I want to find the actual picture of it. Here we go. It's like a beautiful green color. So if you have a green crayon or markers, and you want to, even though this flap is popped up, you want to push it down. That'll be easier for you to draw. And I'm doing a line across. I'm actually going to go 3 lines across, because as you see, there's kind of 3 layers to the bridge. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then he has lines going the opposite direction, up and down. I'm going to add some lines for my bridge going up and down. And then I see at the bottom it's a little bit thicker, the part where people walk on. It's like a wooden plank. So I'm going to add a little more color down here at the bottom of my bridge, just like that. And I'm going to make these parts a little bit thicker as well. Okay, that looks good. What do you think? Pretty awesome. Now let's start our pond. All right, I want to look at Monet's 2 paintings, this one and the water lilies, because this is kind of a close-up of what his pond would look like. I'm going to first start drawing my lily pads, and the way I do that is I do a U shape and then I do kind of a V. You can do it the opposite direction, like an upside down U or a hill, and then you can do kind of like a point of a triangle in there, a little mountain shape. So I'm going to fill my pond with lots of lily pads, because Monet's pond looks like, man, looks like he had like 100 lily pads in there. So many. So beautiful. And springtime and summertime is when the flowers on the lily pads start blooming. So to do a lily flower, and if you remember the seesaw activity, lily flowers can be so many different colors. They can be purple, they can be pink, they can be yellow. I'm going to start with a pink, and this is how I do my lily flower. I do a U shape and then a W. And then I'm going to color that one in. A U shape and a W. And if you have a different way of doing a lily flower, that's fine. U and a W. I'm actually going to make some orange lily flowers. And then after I color in my flowers, I don't want to leave my lily pads white. I want to take my green and color in my lily pads. So if you have a green crayon or marker, you should color in your lily pads. That way they look more realistic. Not just an outline of a lily pad. Okay, now I want to create some waves in my pond. I don't want them to be super choppy, because most ponds the water's pretty calm, but sometimes you can see the water moving if a fish kind of jumps, does a little jump, or a frog, or if a dragonfly kind of lands on top of the water. So I'm adding some blue, different colored blue waves. And I want to add some fish as well. If you've ever seen a koi fish pond, I have actually 2 neighbors that have koi fish ponds. Koi fish are orange, but you can make your fish any color you want. The way I draw my fish is I do an oval shape, And I color it in. And then for its tail, I do a triangle shape. Oval, triangle. I definitely want to give my fishies some eyes as well. And a mouth, because they might be hungry. All right, so now I want to use my crayons to color in my pond. And if you have markers, you could just use markers. Now, if you look at Monet's pond, the water is not just blue. And the reason why, well, yes, there's lots and lots of flowers in it, but he loved to paint the sunlight reflected on his pond. And when you see the reflections of all of the nature surrounding it, I see a lot of yellow, green, and pinks, and purples, dark greens. So I'm not just going to color my pond blue, I'm going to color them a whole kind of combination, ooh, even some orange of colors. And I'm going to overlap these colors in my pond. Friends, as you see, my pond, I added so many different colors for reflections. Pink and orange and yellow, green. And oh, I didn't add some purple. I think I want to add a little bit of purple too. Just definitely see a lot of purple flowers and purple reflections. And then the last thing I want to add is some pop-out creatures. So a thing that would definitely be kind of popping up or resting on a lily pad, sticking out, is a frog, and I was also thinking a dragonfly. Now to do your pop-out shapes, if you look behind your bridge paper, you have this extra strip. So what you can do with your scissors is cut that strip off, because we don't really need it. That's the back of our picture. And you can cut 2 rectangles from that paper. And if you want to make more pop-out shapes, you can use the scraps. And this is how I do a pop-up. I take my rectangle and I fold it in half to make a square or a smaller rectangle. And then I put a little bit of glue with my glue stick on one side. So when it goes on my pond, you can see it's kind of resting or popping up. And then I could draw my little creature just like that on my tab. So again, for this one, I'm going to fold it in half, put some glue on one end, and stick that part down. So I'm going to have 2 pop-ups. Now, to do a frog, I actually printed out a cute little frog online, because I wasn't sure how to draw a frog. Because I think frogs can be really tricky, but I like this one a lot because I think he's very cute and I think he's pretty simple to do. I like him very much. So I'm going to start with the body of my frog. As you notice, the body is oval, so I'm going to take right on my tab, I'm going to draw that oval shape in, and I'm going to color him in. And then there's 2 ovals sticking out the side for his back legs, so I'm going to add those. And then 2 little ovals for his front legs. Now, for his head, I'm going to use the black marker. And I'm going to draw 2 big eyes. As frogs do, their eyes are pretty big. Oh my goodness, his eyes are very big. And then this frog has a line on his belly, kind of like a curved line, rainbow shape or an arch. And then I'm going to use my marker, red marker, to give him a little smile. Oh, he's very cute. So there's my pop-up frog. And then this one I'm going to draw my dragonfly. Now to do Dragonfly, I start with kind of a hot dog shape for his body, or its body. And then I do two ovals, two skinny ovals coming on the sides. And then I'm going to do another set of ovals, but I'm going to use a different color right underneath. And then you can add its antennas, kind of little curvy lines. You can give him a little face if you like as well. Also, if you notice on the back of your bridge here, in Monet's garden, these little spaces between the bridge, you see all the plants. So in order to make it a little more like Monet's, I'm going to take my green crayon and I'm just going to add a little more color in those spaces behind my bridge, just to make it a little bit extra colorful. All right, friends, and there you have it. I have my bridge with my pop-out Dragonfly and Froggy. He's taking a little rest on a lily pad. I hope you enjoyed this Monet garden inspired activity. Maybe this week you'll be able to go outside and see some beautiful spring trees that might remind you of being in Monet's garden. I hope you have a good rest of the week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.